Driving is an important activity that requires total concentration to safeguard the lives of the driver, passengers, and other road users. Engaging in other activities that divert the attention of the driver from driving can cause the driver to lose control of the vehicle, increasing the chance of being involved in a road crash.
When you are driving as an individual, you are not only driving your car, but you are making a social interaction on the road. So your emotions contribute a lot to whether you reach your destination or not. Even if your car is in a good running state, but how you behave on the road will either determine whether you end up in a road accident or not.
Driving is not a simple thing as people think, especially with the growth that we see of motor vehicles plying our roads. You have to be driving your vehicle at the same time driving the vehicle that is in front of you, driving the vehicle that is coming behind you, and also taking care of all other things that happens on the road.
In Botswana, 50 to 60% of fatal road crashes are attributable to a loss of control of the vehicle by the driver, and distracted driving is a major contributing factor. Distracted driving happens when the activity in or outside a vehicle divert the driver's attention away from concentrating on driving, placing the driver, passengers, and other road users in danger of getting involved in a road crash.
Our roads are traversing, villages, cattle posts, and farms, and the likelihood is at any time you can come across, a head of cattle crossing the road. You can come across donkeys, goats, and so forth, even wild animals. So you have to be alert. Your focus has to be on driving. There's no need of you to be paying attention to other things.
Driving is a complex task that involves many subtasks that require the perception and processing of information from senses to be at optimum level at all times. When secondary activities are introduced, the driver is forced to multitask and their concentration drops. Distraction increases. A driver whose attention is not focused on driving will have delayed reaction to an emergency on the road, which may impact on their ability to take evasive action to prevent a crash.
Having more people in the car is also a distraction in itself, and it also can end up distracting a young person who is driving and who is also inexperienced. And those are the things that we need to watch for in our communities, that young people, even when they have the license, they need to be able to be assisted to manage, their driving, in the sense that, discourage them to be traveling in a group.
Distraction occurs when anything takes the driver's attention and concentration away from driving, and there are generally three main types of driver distractions. Visual distraction, which involves taking your eyes away from the road while driving. Manual distraction, which occurs when you take your hands off the steering wheel of a moving vehicle. Cognitive distraction, which occurs when you take your mind off driving. Most distractions involve one or more of these types of distractions, and activities that involve more than one type of distractions are very serious and have a higher chance of causing a crash. Some common activities that can lead to a driver's distraction includes: using a mobile phone while driving causes the driver to take their hands off the steering wheel, and the conversation with the person on the other end often leads to their mind drifting away from focusing on driving.
You see us using cell phones on the road, and we even think that it is the right thing to do. We don't see anything wrong with it. We only watch for the police.
If you have to use your phone, the research has shown that you will concentrate on the phone rather than on your driving. And the next thing, when you raise up your eyes, you will be off the road. Then you will struggle with the vehicle. That's when you will end up getting involved in a rollover.
Using cell phone is quite a destructive thing when you are driving. Even when you are doing hands, you are not hands on, right? Even if you are using that Bluetooth to be able to talk with the other individual, that can interfere with your judgment on the road. Even if you are not putting your hands on the cell phone, the conversation that might take place when you are driving, it can arouse, or it can cultivate anger emotions on the driver. You can imagine when you are driving, and suddenly somebody calls you and tells you that you have lost a loved one, right? That is not an anger emotion, but all of a sudden your mood changes, your emotions changes, because now you are grieving, right? And you cannot be able to make good judgment when you are on the road.
Well, the law is very clear. You have to concentrate, you have to hold the steering wheel with both hands. You can't be texting or speaking through your phone while driving. That is the law. But sometimes, it's very difficult for us at the end of it all. If, say, an accident has taken place, will not be able to tell that this person was using a cell phone, unless somebody was there to say, no, at the time when this thing was happening, this guy was on a cell phone. Unless otherwise, but we will not even know. That is why sometimes it's difficult to detect as to whether that accident took place because the driver was using the cell phone.
Eating or drinking while driving causes the driver to take his hands off the steering wheel and the eyes are not on the road ahead. Attending to unrestrained children while driving causes the driver to take their eyes off the road, their hands away from the steering wheel, and the mind is divided between focusing on driving and the children. Using vehicle controls such as air conditioning and navigation systems keep both drivers' eyes and hands away from focusing on the road and the steering wheel. These are all common types of actions that occur in most vehicles and increase the likelihood of a crash and can be avoided to ensure proper road usage. Many people are generally aware of the actions that distract the driver. However, they continue to engage despite the danger of a road crash that can cause injury or death.
We note that much as the knowledge of what to do is very high, road users seem to be not very conscious of the risk that is associated with using the road. So it's all about risk perception. So even in terms of our approach, the way we want to package our messages now, we would like to move away from a prescriptive approach whereby we tell people put on safety belt, do not drink and drive. We just want to depict the risk.
To avoid distractions while driving, drivers must understand the importance of being fully concentrated on driving and eliminating all activities that cause distraction. Keep your hands on the wheel and your eyes on the road at all times, and keep your brain calm and focused on the task of driving. Avoid taking cell phone calls while driving. Do not type or read text messages while you are driving. Place your cell phone away from your view, or if any incoming call or text is received, ignore it and arrive at your destination before reading the text or returning the call.
People texting or reading text messages or reading their WhatsApp or being in social media while they're driving. Let me tell you, no matter how experienced you are with your typing, no matter how good you are with your hands, that is a distraction. And people crash as a result of being on their cell phones. And sometimes you see a crash and you start trying to piece pieces together. What has really gone on here? A lot of times is because of the cell phone distraction.
Use child restraints to ensure that children are secured by use of an appropriate child restraint seat or seat belt to avoid causing distraction to the driver. If a situation arises that requires immediate attention, stop at the nearest stop and attend to the children while the vehicle is stationary. Avoid eating or drinking at all costs while driving. Your safety and that of other road users is more important that you can put off eating until you reach your next destination. If you're too hungry, have your meal before starting your journey. When traveling with a group of passengers, as the driver, avoid getting distracted by conversations of the passengers, and the passengers must minimize any distractions that can divert the driver from focusing on driving. Avoid adjusting the radio or car controls like the aircon while driving, and keep your focus on the road at all times. Prepare well before the start of the journey and adjust any controls to your taste before the car moves. Take a short break if you have been driving for a long time. Step outside the vehicle, stretch your legs, and take in some fresh air to improve your alertness. Distractions are risky behaviors that place the life of drivers, passengers, and pedestrians in danger, and they are all preventable if we abide by safety rules and desirable behavior patterns to safeguard the lives of all road users. Reducing the number of road injuries and fatalities requires that we all act in a responsible manner that can keep us all safer on the road.
It's a question of changing your behavior as an individual driver. There are things that you can put in place. Things like telling yourself that, you know what, no cell phone when I'm driving. It is when now I've stopped, you still get your missed calls.
You know, even if we were to ask you, you will not say I was using a cell phone. But there are a few instances where somebody, would have, noted that and would say, yeah, this gentleman was on a cell phone for quite some time until this thing happened. But in general, the law, is very clear that while you are driving, you should not use your cell phone.
We also use other strategies that are able to pull crowds, like using our stage truck. That is one of the tools that we have. It is a mobile truck that is equipped with the PA system and the sound system. This is the truck that we use in collaboration with other stakeholders in the entertainment industry to pull crowds.
Many survivors of road crashes are often faced with the challenge of access to specialist medical care and lengthy rehabilitation to regain their mobility and independence. Access to quality medical treatment starts from the scene of an accident and extends to the hospitals, where timely access to specialist medical care are crucial to give the victims the best chance of survival. After hospital treatment, the rehabilitation process may take a long time, requiring access to specialist care and support to provide the best chance of regaining their normal lives. Through the Case Management Unit of MVA Fund, working together with first responders, victims of road crashes now have a better chance of receiving critical care right from the scene of an accident.
Our case management section started in 2009. And it was following the new act, which is the 2007 Act, which was given the fund a new mandate of rehabilitating people. So this is where the birth of the section came from. And in case management, our interaction with the claimants starts right from the accident scene, where we have actually contracted all the private EMSs so that they respond to the accident. Whenever they get the call that they've been in an accident, they respond to that by going to the scene, picking the patients and taking them to the nearest hospital. The hospitals that we work with all the hospitals, be it the public hospitals, be it the private hospitals. With the private hospitals, we also have contracts with them, so that in cases we are not on duty and they receive the claimant, they should automatically put them under our cover to assist them. This has helped our patients get timely interventions because they don't have to wait for authorizations. So once these patients are in hospitals, we do daily visits to the hospitals to check on the patients. We make sure they know about the products and services of the fund. We make sure that they know about the benefits they can get from the fund. And the benefit being the medical assistance that is prescribed by the Act. And going forward, if somebody is severely injured, they can also end up getting loss of earnings or loss of income benefit. With our interaction with the hospitals, there are a lot of things going on in the hospitals. You have to meet the treating doctors, you have to discuss the treatment plans, which is very important to whatever benefit we are going to be giving the patient. You need to get the exact injuries so that we can estimate how much funds we need for the patient, so that we can also give out authorizations to the hospital looking at the severity of injuries and also how much money they will need for different interventions. This communication is usually done between ourselves and the doctors. They give us estimates of whatever they want to do, and then we have to authorize these. As the fund, we've been set as a secondary insurer. So for someone who is on private medical aid, we come as secondary insurers. You use your private medical aid first. This is prescribed by the government in our Act. And if you are injured on duty, also we are secondary. Your employer has to pay for your medical assistance as per the Workmen's Compensation Act as well. But once you are on our full cover, we cover everything. We don't have exclusions. Our only guiding factor will be if something is necessary, if something is reasonable. That's how we cover you. And going forward, once you are done with your acute admissions, your surgeries have been done, and then you go home, we also follow our patients with what is we call home visits. We follow your patients to their homes. We have to know where they're going to, especially those with severe injuries. We have to know where they're going to after this. We're taking care of those people. How are they going to be maneuvering inside the places wherever they're staying? So it's very important for us to visit their homes. And then we can do further, we can improve on their rehabilitation plan once we pick on anything that they need. We also do what we call work visits. For somebody who was employed before the accident, we have to make sure where are they going to after the accident with that injury. How are they going to be accommodated back at work? Sometimes we may need to do modifications so that they comfortably settle back at work. They're able to do their duties. In some instances, people don't even manage to go back to work because of the extent of the injury. And in these instances, there is that second benefit I was talking about called loss of income. They get loss of income, and we continue supporting them, rehabilitating them to make sure they graduate from the loss of income and can go back to work. In our program, if you cannot get them to go back to what they were doing, we usually try to negotiate with the employers so that they are redeployed within their workplace. In cases where they can't even get redeployed, we assist them to look for employment outside, which sometimes, usually because of the challenge that we know of non-employment in the country, We may not even get anything outside, but we support them all the way to make sure they can economically support themselves. So basically, those are the major benefit that somebody with injuries will get. In instances where somebody unfortunately passes away, they get a funeral assistance from fund. And then after that, we have what we call loss of support, where we have to make sure that all the dependents that they are leaving behind, they get support from the fund. This is also prescribed by the Act to how much assistance they can get from the fund. And the reason why I'm bringing this up is for us to appreciate that the impact that the road accident can have in the families. For somebody who gets severely injured and they cannot go back to work, it means there's a loss of employment. These people will be getting allowances because what the fund gives you most of the time does not match what you get because of the prescription limit. You can only get to a maximum of 6,000. And this means the whole impact that somebody who has been head in the family or the breadwinner in the family, it means all the support has been cut to 6,000 to support the family. And sometimes for these people as well, they need what we call caretakers to take care of them, to make sure that because of their injuries, they're still able to bath, groom themselves, eat, and all that. And all these things are expenses that are paid for by the fund. So this is another of the impacts that we see, that the road accident, the burden that the road accident is putting on the whole society. In instances where people are dying, they're leaving small children that have to be supported. These children don't only lose on the financial support, they lose on the parents who could be guiding them. So the whole impact of it is social, it's financial on everyone. So my role as a case manager is as much as we support these people continuously, we need to show them that side of road accident.
In this episode, we have seen how distraction both in and out of the vehicle can lead to the driver losing control of the vehicle, placing all road users in danger of a road crash. From simple actions such as avoiding using the cell phone while driving, and any other actions that distract us from focusing on the road ahead, we can play our part in ending distraction and saving lives on the road. Join us again in the next episode as we look at other road user behaviors and actions that lead to road crashes, as we explore desirable ways to keep us all safer on the road.